All right, well, welcome. We're going to talk about how to become a successful loan agent. If you have questions while I'm going along, just go ahead and type them out and I'll get to them at the end. So just go ahead, type up your questions and we'll cover them when we get to the end of the presentation. So the purpose of this, let me get going. All right, let's just start with what happens during the mortgage processing. What's the process? So you have the first thing that happens is there's a loan application that is received. That's the job of the mortgage loan originator, which is what we're going to primarily be talking about today. Then there's a processor who is a different person than the loan originator, and then there's the underwriter, and then once it's approved, then it closes and is funded. So in the who's who, the loan originator, and you can notice I highlighted the sales role. So the loan originator's job is to talk to people about mortgages, help them negotiate a mortgage, find people that want to get a mortgage. Notice the word I've highlighted for the loan processor is organizes. So the loan processor's job is to have the list of all the documents that are necessary for the loan file and to get them and put them all in the file. The loan processor does not make judgment calls about the sufficiency really of the documentation so much other than collecting it. Then the underwriter, notice the word I highlighted is evaluate. So the underwriter is the one who actually makes the decision, initially at least. It can be reviewed, but initially the decision as to whether or not to go through with the loan. They're the ones who evaluate the process. So how much does a mortgage loan originator make, which is what we're talking about? Well, this is recently from Indeed.com, and according to all of what their surveys are, about $155,000 per year is what a typical loan originator makes. And in addition to that, they get about almost $30,000 on average in other compensation, right? So we're looking at $150,000, $200,000, which, may not be too shabby. If you're thinking about, well, the loan processor, that sounds like a lot less stress. They make about $50,000 a year. The underwriter is a little bit more stressed, but still, I'm not in sales. That's about $88,000, $90,000, let's say, a year is what an experienced underwriter can make. But obviously, the mortgage loan originator is making, easily twice as much as the underwriter, which is why we're talking about it. How do loan agents get paid? Well, first of all, for most of what we're talking about is a commission-only example, right? And I'm going to cover that there are some places that have salaries and you get paid a smaller bonus, but let's look at a typical loan agent who's negotiating a loan and is being paid entirely on commission. So I used a $500,000 price. Now, in the real estate business, the real estate agent's commission is based upon the selling price of the property. In the loan business, the loan agent's commission is not based upon the selling price of the property. It's based upon the amount of the loan. So let's say somebody bought a $500,000 house and they had 20% down. That's $100,000. That means the loan would be $400,000. And under the program that we have, you'd be receiving at least, and it could go up from this, 1.25% as your commission. This is after the company's been paid and before other potential bonuses, which would be $5,000. Now, if you do the math, at one loan a month, that's $60,000 a year. If you could do 2 loans a month, right, that would be $120,000 a year. And if you decided to become a successful loan officer, you could do 10 loans a month, and that would be a whole lot more money. And there are quite a few loan agents that are doing more than 10 loans a month. This just gives you an idea of how could I make $150,000? Well, that's like 3 or 4 loans a month, and you'd be easily above that amount. So where would you go work? who would hire me, right? Once I get my mortgage loan originator license, there are online lenders like Quicken and Rocket Mortgage and that sort of stuff. Banks and credit unions are sort of into a category, and then there are mortgage companies. Now, the online lenders, to get a job working for Quicken Loans or Rocket Mortgage, same thing, or any of those online lenders, you just have to get your license and apply. You don't have to do what we call lead generation, that you're not generally calling people and saying, hey, are you interested in getting a loan? You're not marketing to people, you're not talking to people, they call you. And that's because Quicken Loans is running a lot of ads everywhere, right? In order to get people to click on it. The downside is that you have limited loan options that you could sell people. Right, so rather than you making calls, people are calling you, or they're filling out forms and giving their phone numbers, and you're calling them back. Right, that's pretty much the deal. You can do the loans that they do, which aren't all of them, and it's a much lower pay. Right, it's a base salary plus a very small commission. I don't know exactly what it is, but it isn't as much. And that's because you don't really have to do anything but answer the phone or call people back who say, I want to talk about getting a loan. Right, which means they don't pay you as much. Another option is, there we go, banks and credit unions. Now, one of the reasons that people that are in the loan business are attracted to work for Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, or a large credit union, Golden One, Key Point Credit Union, Tech Credit Union, or all those, the reason is because they already have a base of clients. Right, there are members of the credit union, there are people that are depositors at Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and the idea is that you could show up at work and sit there, right, and you'd be getting leads through the credit union and through the bank. Now, most of the people that are at credit unions and banks that are doing loan origination and are doing really well financially go beyond just getting the leads that come in through the system, and they're more in sales, and they'll actually reach out usually to real estate agents and that sort of stuff. Obviously, the banks and the credit unions have a limited client base, because if you're just working with people at the credit union, they kind of have to be a member of the credit union. They also have more limited loan options. But in this option, you're more likely to be working a 9-to-5 schedule. And they typically pay a base plus commissions, which means you don't make as much money potentially, because they're feeding you leads to some extent. Then there are mortgage companies. And the mortgage companies, we're talking now about sales, where you'd be looking for people that want to get a loan, right? Either to buy a house, to refinance, a home equity line, whatever. The mortgage companies, the pay potential is way higher. I know agents that are at mortgage companies who have done 40 loans to 50 loans in a month, right? I'm just saying, if you look at $5,000 for a $500,000 property, if you did 40 of those a month, you could probably live on that. The mortgage companies are not tied to one particular lender, so they have far more options. You're not necessarily working a 9-to-5 job. The bank expects you to show up at your appointed hour, right, and be there, and and the mortgage company, it's an outside sales thing, but it's also commission only. There's no base salary at the mortgage companies. So if you were a loan agent, how would you find clients? The best way is to work with real estate agents. And there are others that we can go through, but if you were going, they're generally speaking two kinds of loans. There are what are called purchase loans, and then there are refis, or loans that are against property that people already own. So the purchase loans, who knows about those? Who would be talking to people that are thinking about buying a house in the market? How about a real estate agent? So networking with real estate agents, helping them close clients by volunteering to answer loan questions, doing home buying seminars with them, co-marketing where you're marketing yourselves together, right? Those are all ways of building up a client base. And then this, you've heard the old line probably that, if you feed a man a fish, you've fed somebody a fish today, but if you teach them to fish, then they can fish for themselves. But if you show them how to create a fish farm. Now they're eating fish all the time and selling fish to other people, right? And so where I'm going with this is that having 4 or 5 real estate agents who refer buyers to you, right? If you had 10 real estate agents and they referred 2 people a year to you, you understand that's not so bad. So the idea is we want to be getting agents that are referring business on a regular basis. You also have your own sphere of influence, people that you know, people that you meet. They may be interested in refinancing, buying a house, or getting a home equity line. You could do social media marketing. You can send postcards to people, and there's various forms of internet lead generation out of this group. Working with real estate agents in your sphere of influence is probably the strongest ones. Can you be a real estate agent and do loan origination at the same time? And the answer is yes, if your broker allows it. Right now, you could then do loans for buyer clients, and you could do refinances for clients in your sphere of influence. So if you're a real estate agent, it is possible for you to do loans and be a real estate agent and help your existing clients, the real estate clients and the people you know, get a loan. You're less likely to get referrals from other real estate agents because you're a real estate agent and they'll be afraid you're going to try and steal their buyer. Right, but then you could do loans for the people that you're already helping to real estate to do it. So how would you get a license in California? And by the way, this process is really true for all the states. There's just slight variations, which don't really affect the course, by the way, very much, right? They don't. We could talk about that, but a little bit. So the first thing is you can apply to get what's called an NMLS account and an ID number, right? I'm going to show you, I have a link to where to do that. If you Google search, how do I get an MLS account and an ID number, it doesn't cost anything, right? It's just registering. You give them your name and they issue you a number. And the second step is, and by the way, you don't actually have to do the first step first, but why not? Right, because you're going to need that number when you've completed your NMLS pre-license education, which is a required class. I mean, will we get a copy of the deck afterwards? It should be under handouts on the side. It is. So you do have a copy of the deck already. I mean, that's not what I wanted. I believe so, right? Check the handouts. So the steps, right? 1, get your NMLS account and ID number. 2, do the pre-license education. 3, pass a licensing exam. 4, apply to get the license. 5, complete the background check, pay your fees. And number 6, associate with a broker, right? With an employer of some sort. So how do you request a personal account? Now, this handout should be saved as a PDF, and this should be an active link. However, a Google search would find it. So this National Mortgage Loan System and registry is used in all 50 states, including California. There, just to be clear, there isn't a state exam, there's just a national exam, right? And so that number would work in any state, but individual states sometimes have an additional requirement. So you click on that link, you select the individual option, you answer the security check, you give them the required information, and you hit submit, and you've done step 1. This only takes a few minutes, not too tough. Now, step 2 takes a little bit longer. In step 2, you have to complete the California National Mortgage Loan System, NMLS, and the pre-license education. And essentially, there are 2 ways in which you could do loans. Right now, 2 ways in which you could get a loan officer's license. Number 1 is through the California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. It used to be known up until January of 2021, it used to be known as the Department of Business Oversight, DBO, and you might see in literature and information about getting your NMLS license, your mortgage loan originator endorsement, referring to DBO and the Department of Business Oversight. It's the same thing, right? They just recently changed your name. Now notice this option does not require a California real estate license. Anybody can be licensed to be a mortgage loan originator through this option, but it requires a 2-hour California course. The other option is through the California Department of Real Estate. Now that requires that you've gotten your real estate license. And what it means is you don't have to take the 2-hour course, but you still have to take the other course. What is that other course? Well, it's a 20-hour NMLS SAFE. SAFE stands for the Secure and Fair Enforcement Act. And if you don't have a California real estate license, then you have to take the 20-hour prerequisite pre-licensing course as well as that 2-hour course that California requires. If you so all states, by the way, require 20 hours. If you wanted to get a license in Nevada or Arizona, we could help you with that, but they're all going to require 20 hours. And most states require, if you don't have another kind of license in that state, that you take an additional required education. I've got access to all of those courses. So the DRE license overview, if you have a real estate license or about to get a real estate license and your broker is cool with you doing this, then you can just be licensed through the California Department of Real Estate. It's called an MLO, Mortgage Loan Originator Endorsement. But you have to have a valid license. You still have to do the 20 hours of pre-license education, and you have to be sponsored by the Department of Real Estate recognized broker. So most people, by the way, just become licensed through the Department of Financial Oversight and Financial Protection and Innovation, excuse me, sort of merge those two together, because what that allows you to do, you have to take the 2-hour California course, but you're not necessarily connected your loan business to your real estate license, right? It's a separate thing. It's a separate company, a separate broker. It's not using the license. And then you don't have to worry so much about what if your broker doesn't want you to do loans through their license. Then you could still be doing loans, but through the other license. So now that you have done the 20 hours or 22 hours, and you're ready to go take the exam. Now, the college level courses that you take do not adequately prepare you for the exam. The failure rate on this exam is like over 50%. And everybody that takes the exam has done the 20 hours. So you just need, that's why there's another component to the course, which is an intensive, how do you pass this test? Now, the test is 125 questions, but only 115 of them are scored. What they do is every exam, they have 10 questions that they're sort of trying out, seeing how people do, right? And so they grade them, but they don't include it in your score. They're just collecting, they're researching right now. And those are oftentimes at the beginning, right? The test is 190 minutes long, and you need a score of 75% in order to pass it. And it costs $110 to take the test. So I offer packages to help you get your license. The first one is for people who don't have a real estate license. And this is the one that allows you to do loans without having to go through a real estate broker. The tuition is $499. It includes the state component. It includes online materials. There's video classes. There's live classes every week. There's 4 of them, and they're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, generally from noon to 1. Thursday goes a little bit longer. You get all of the material, you get the training, the PDF, the booklet, the certificate that says you passed all that. In addition, you also get a Saturday webinar workshop on how to pass the exam, and a comprehensive testing and study system. Interactive flashcards, fill in the blank matching, dynamic tests, unlimited safe MLO practice tests, pre-assessment, mobile tablet desktop friendly. You have a readiness indicator that shows how you're going and whether or not you're ready to take the exam. Up-to-date questions, and you get 180 days, 6 months access to this test, although it shouldn't take you that long. If you have a real estate license, then you don't need the California component, so it's pretty much the same thing. It's $450 instead of $499, but what's missing is the California component because you got a real estate license, which means you don't have to take the California component. And then there are some people who have already taken the 20-hour requirements or the 22-hour requirement. They've already done that, but they're just having trouble passing the exam. I have a program for that not only includes the book, but it includes a live webinar on how to pass the exam, plus all of that practice testing, vocabulary drills, readiness indicator, all that kind of stuff, right? All included for $250. So now that you've taken the course, right, you've satisfied the pre-license requirements, you're preparing yourself to take the state exam, now you can apply for your NMLS license. You've passed, right, at this point. You've taken the test, you got 75% or better, you passed. So now you're allowed to apply for the license. So you go to the NMLS website, and to apply, there's a $30 processing fee. Now, they're also going, these are all of the different administrative fees. So you're going to have a background check, which is $36.25, a credit report. There's the test itself is $110. The pre-license course exam prep bundle is $499. The total investment to get your NMLS license and be going is $690, right? Just a little under $700. And so that's all of the expenses that are involved. Now that so you've done the courses, you passed the exam, you've gotten your number issued, now you can be hired. And you have to be, in order for you to actually do loans, you need to be sponsored by somebody who's approved either under the Department of Real Estate or the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. Okay. Now, I work with a cloud-based company called Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. And like Uber versus taxi cabs, Airbnb versus Hilton, Netflix versus what were they called? I lost it there, but there used to be a place where you'd have to go to get movies, Amazon over so obviously there are a lot of companies that are moving to the cloud. Pacific Wholesale Mortgage is a cloud-based company like EXP in real estate is, or Uber. You get the idea. And let me see, a Blockbuster. Thank you, Glenn. I made a mental note, but I forgot where I put it. So the Pacific Wholesale Mortgage is a wholesale broker. So if you were to go to work for a bank or a credit union, that's one. They have one set of guidelines and usually have higher rates and fees. If you work for a wholesale broker, they work with multiple banks. They're not brand specific, right? You're not just doing Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Banks have to compete for the best rate, right? Because they want us to lend their money, right? And that gives us a lot more flexibility in the loan products. We also have a lot of training and education, which is not an additional charge. So the way I always talk about getting a real estate license or getting a mortgage loan originator license, an NMLS or MLO license, getting those licenses is sort of like getting a fishing license, in that the license doesn't catch any fish, right? So now that you have your fishing license, how do you actually catch fish? How do you know about fish? Well, we've got those courses too. It goes through all of the different products. There's training and there's tools to be a top producer. I'll share what a schedule might look like. We also allow you the opportunity to be part of the company and to be compensated as the company makes more money, right? Where, and that you can get money back, and I'll explain how you can find out more about that. So there's really two options for joining Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. One is to be a traditional loan officer, where you're actually doing loans. The other option is to be what's called a team builder. So what a team builder would mean is, let's say you know somebody who also is interested in being a loan originator, and you introduce them to us. I would help you, right? You could introduce them to me. I would help you with this, and to Pacific Wholesale Mortgage. And when they join Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, you're going to share with them a link to your system, essentially. So you'll be given your own little web page. And when they join Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, you'll be the person that'll be identified as the one who introduced that mortgage loan originator to Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, and you're going to be getting a override, a percentage, a referral fee, as it were, when they actually do loans. That doesn't mean you're getting their money. Remember the 1.25%, you're not getting any of that. There is more involved than 1.25%. That's the money that goes to the company, to Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, and you're going to get a cut of that as a team builder. And you can do both, right? But you could just do either, even if you don't have your mortgage loan originator license, but you know people that would like to be mortgage loan originators, reach out to me. We can set you up as a team builder, and you could start building a team right away. You don't have to train them. You don't have to answer their loan questions. Don't have to do that. So the team builder is really more of a recruiter. In that you're introducing the company to people that are in the loan business, and the loan originator is somebody that is actually doing loans. The team builder isn't getting the 1.25%, the loan originator is, but the team builder can still earn the override even if they're not doing loans. Again, I'm going to give you a link where you could find out more information about this. Speaking of that, PWM is Pacific Wholesale Mortgage, and this is a sample of what our weekly training program looks like. So every 8 o'clock, there's a weekly motivation conference call. Tuesdays, you can see there's several classes. These are not required necessarily, but you would probably be helped to go through them. Wednesday, there are classes, and Thursday, as you can see, there's classes, and then there's a link where you can, there's a presentation every week, every Thursday from 7 to 8, where you can hear about, from Doug Ross, who's the founder of the company, how the whole company works. Now, if you look over here to the left, you can see that most of what we're talking about has already been pre-recorded as well, but it's more up to date. You got to go through the training if you could. So what's next? If you want to move forward, click on that link, right? It should work from the handout. And right now, this is something we're kind of launching. So you fill out the form, and then we'll send you an invoice depending upon which of the choices you made. If you want to talk to me and ask questions about how this all works, there's a calendar link, which you already know about. And if you would like to check out that class on Thursday, this is the same link that was in the previous slide that explains how that system works for introducing people and being a team builder and all of that. That's that link there. And I believe that's it. So how is that, Quan? Do you have any questions? Yeah. Well, how about this? If you do, then you've also got my, oh, thank you. This is my, I'm working on this, right? So you're my first victim. So reach out to me if you have any questions. If the link doesn't work, send me an email. My assistant will send it to you, but it should work. And thanks for participating. Talk to you later. Bye.